So, Khan, 17 years ago, restaurant industry, what did that look like?
It was hassle, but as you said, I used to be a restaurant manager in small town in New Jersey. So when I first got involved with them, I started as actually a waiter.
A waiter?
Mm-hmm. And while I was going to school, I worked my way up to being a manager, then general manager. But at that time, the business was only making, I would say, $12,000-$13,000 a week. And I took that business to over $30,000 a week.
So the actual restaurant was doing about $13,000 in revenue in a week.
Right.
And when you started as the waiter, but by the time that you became the manager of the restaurant, the revenue doubled.
Pretty much, yes. So I only connect that to culture. So I understand what you're doing here, and it is really important for everybody to understand that as well. Being personal with your customers makes a lot more sense. Like when they come in, you greet them, you sit down and talk to them and be social with them. Therefore, it creates credibility on your end as a person. And they just don't come to that restaurant because of the restaurant. They come because who is there, who's greeting them, and who's giving them the service that they don't get in other places.
Did you have that characteristic of greeting people and going the extra mile and treating them like humans before the restaurant industry, or did you learn it in the restaurant industry?
Well, I guess it's the culture that I grew up. So,
familial culture.
Correct.
And what is that?
It's pretty much, being nice to everyone, being, together in the same page as everybody else. So once you are a person who, is known to be friendly, outgoing, and they tend to like you. So at that point, even if you don't know anybody around you, what happens is when you're treating the people right, then they become your circle.
Do you have a memory of the first time that you did the right thing and you got a positive result? Because there was times where I did the right thing and I didn't get a positive result. Is there, years before you even became a waiter, you're a young man, was there a memory of you doing something because you had a decision, you could have did the wrong thing, but you did the right thing and it worked out?
Well, I don't have a memory of my own, but I have a memory that happened to me by somebody else.
What was that?
So when I was in high school, it was some sort of vocational school where you learn trade and whatnot. So I got real sick, and I used to live in this small apartment. And the next day that I was gonna go to school, I couldn't walk. So I just struggled on my knees to the door, and I saw this little kid. I said, "Can you call me a taxi cab?" So this taxi cab comes and calls me over. I said, "I can't walk." This guy literally takes me on his bag, puts me in the taxi cab, takes me to the hospital, and that hospital said, "We cannot do anything for you here, so you have to go to another hospital." So this guy is pretty much carrying me all day from one hospital to another one. And finally, he stayed with me after the doctor saw me. And then he took me to at that time, I guess the elevator wasn't working or something. He took me to 4th floor and put me in my bed. And that day I realized, I said, you know what, I should be like him.
Wow.
It's not just for money. And, at the end of the day, when I said to him, I said, "How much do I owe you?" He said, "You don't owe me anything." So.
How old were you?
I was only, I believe, 14.
Your legs weren't working. You call a taxi cab. The man picks you up. You go to the hospital. And how many hospitals did you go to before you finally?
2 hospitals.
2 hospitals.
In between those 2, he took me to the school. He had to get a note from the school that I was sick. So.
You didn't know this man?
No.
Total stranger.
Total stranger.
And the lesson was?
Being human. Being there for others. So that's where I grabbed my motto. Yeah. I don't live for myself, I live for others. And that is how, if everybody treats the same way to the others, this world is going to be a much better place to live.
Well, we can end the interview. I mean, I'm done here. This is, you just changed. Where there's my mind, I'm almost never at a loss for words, but I am right now. So, would you say that that thought process has a pivotal role in the fact that you were able to help 170 plus people move into their dream home or sell their home to move into their next dream home? Because you helped a lot of people this year do that in real estate.
Definitely. I mean, it helps being personal with the clients and your friends. I don't really advertise on a lot of websites. It's just personal referrals pretty much comes to you. Therefore, I mean, even to this date, I still go to my previous clients, let's say during Halloween. I go to bakeries, grab pumpkin pies, and deliver every one of them a pie. When they see you, first they look at what you have, and they see you, they just give you a hug. So they never forget things like that, even though, I mean, how much a pumpkin pie cost? $10?
Yeah, but you remembered them.
Exactly.
And you actually drove to them and gave them a pie.
Exactly.
Now, some people might think, what, are you out of your mind? I think that's the most beautiful thing I ever heard. Now, like, how many places do we hear that, but who does it? So where does the character come from to do the right, not just to think the right thing, but to do the right thing? Like, when you're facing that, do you ever face hesitation? Like, where you have to think, is it, like, do you procrastinate?
Not really.
How did you overcome procrastination?
Well, we know that the results are going to be based on how you make them. So, as they say, what you install in the ground, that's what you get back from when you're harvesting. So it's not something that is different. When you're, let's say, putting the corn in the ground, and you expect to get corn, you cannot get something different. So, when you're working on a certain project, or when you're doing something or trying to do something, you know what the process is going to be and what the results are going to be. So if you act on those process as positive as you can be, the results are going to be positive.
So the idea that when you plant seeds in the ground that are corn, you're no matter what gonna get corn. The belief in the facts, the belief in the process, to you, gives you the energy or the courage to do what you have to do, no matter what, because you know you're going to get the result.
Exactly.
Do you see a lot of people that maybe it's their belief that stops? What stops people from the fact that you could give them the recipe, you give them the corn, and you say, hey, plant this, you're going to get corn, but they don't plant it?
Well, even if they plant it, if they still don't go through the process of doing certain things, water in it. If you put the corn in the ground and expect that corn is going to come out, you have to water it. You have to work.
So it's more than just starting.
Exactly.
There's many steps.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go way back then, because many, many years of being very successful in real estate and opening all of these HomeSmarts that you've opened, you at one point went from being a waiter to running a restaurant and doubling its revenue. So where did you make a decision to get into real estate? What was it one day you woke up and I got to do a new business? How did that look like?
Well, as I said, I was a waiter in a restaurant, and this lady one day, and who always came to the restaurant and approached me. She goes, her name is Michelle Metzak. She used to have a little real estate office in Medford, New Jersey. So she said, why don't you become a realtor? And I said, well, when you prove me, buying and renting is better than, buying is better than renting, then I will take your advice. And she came one day with a bunch of paperwork, and she showed me how important it is to own a house and what the benefits are. I said, okay, you sold on me, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start the school. So she was actually instructor in a school in Cherry Hill as well. So I went to her course, got my license, and worked under her flagship in her company. So that's how I started.
So you were working in the restaurant business, and one of the clientele saw something in you, and you had a conversation, and it wasn't necessarily something that you wanted to do, but you gave her the opportunity to sell you in a way.
Right.
And she did. She showed you the benefits. So then she taught real estate, and then you went and learned. And her office was in Cherry Hill?
In Medford, actually.
Oh, in Medford. So what were the first 6 months like for you in real estate personally? Because a lot of people aren't, they struggle with that first 6 months, or there's something that,
Well, I started as part-time. I was still working in the restaurant. So I had, supporting myself through the restaurant as well. But the problem is, in those years, in 90s, mid-90s, I don't remember any real estate company really training agents and getting them started.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't. I mean, you become a realtor, you go out there, you do open houses, and you start to sell. But there was nothing really published as to the process of processing, how to become a realtor, how to sell, how to buy, and so on and so forth. So, but even in those years, being a foreigner, I had to pass two hurdles. One, being a foreigner, and I'm trying to sell something to Americans in this country. It was hard.
In the mid-90s, it's a crazy time.
Exactly. So, but being in the restaurant, I had a lot of people know me in that area. So it wasn't really that hard. As long as people know you, they will use your services.
So let's say someone's fresh behind the ears or wet behind the ears, they're fresh into real estate, they just jump into business. You started, and being so successful as you have, you started working with the people that knew you already from whatever it was that you did before.
Exactly.
And that was your restaurant business.
Correct.
So if someone new coming into the business, and you started part-time while you worked there, because it's a commission only, and you built through your sphere of influence, would you recommend that people that are new in the business, they start with people that already know them and working for them?
Well, they have to work with their circle of, friends and circle of family and, circle of influence, per se. So that is the first thing that they really have to target on. It's like, there's something called a reticular activator where, let's say you drive a Camaro Z28, the black color, pitch black and whatnot. When you see another car, similar car that is coming towards you, it just opens up things that because you recognize it.
Like in your brain.
Exactly.
They call that the RAS, I think. Yeah.
Reticular activator
System. Yeah,
right?
You're right. Yes.
So, and let's say, for example, you're pregnant. You see if there are like 20 ladies coming towards you and one of them is pregnant, you notice that person just like that.
Right away.
So making your circle of friends, circle of influence, and teaching them or showing them that fact, every time somebody says real estate, they should remember you.
To introduce you to people.
Exactly.
So your friends become your billboard.
Correct.
That's smart. So that's what you did.
That's what I did. So every time somebody said real estate in my group, they said, I call Hakan. So that's how pretty much we started. And, it just grows. As long as you're following up with your past clients, your business is going to grow. It's not going to go down. It doesn't matter what market you're in, you'll still grow.
No matter what the market is, you stay in touch with your people. It's in a sense, you treat everyone like they're the guy with the taxi.
Exactly.
So start with circle of influence. Like if I was you, I'm new to the business, I'm a month in, all of my friends, I'm going to teach them the language that they need to understand. So when they see someone that needs a house sold or needs to buy a house, they think of me. Exactly. And then if they introduce me to that person, I'm going to follow up with them and make sure I treat them like the taxi driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your book of business or your number of your influences pretty much increases every year. And if you are contacting every single person, like my goal is to contact my clients at least 6 times a year.
All of your clients, past clients.
So I either it's a live phone call, or just calling them on their birthday, or send them messages, or send them postcards and whatnot in Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Okay, so 6 times a year, is it every midway of every quarter? Is it a process like that? How do you keep track of that? So every holiday. And so what are some of the things that you've done in the past? How are you cultivating these relationships?
Well, I mean, as they are in your influence, a circle of influence, what happens is you're getting to know who they are,
Okay.
how many kids they have. So even in their kid's birthday, you call them up and tell them happy birthday to their kid. So
that takes a lot of energy.
It does, but imagine if, let's say you have sold 300 homes in your past.
Okay.
All right, and you're contacting every single 300 people every year on a regular basis.
Okay.
If one person refers you one business every single year, that's 300 transactions. Even 20% gives you business, that's 60 properties. If average commission is $5,000, you're making $300,000 just like that without spending any of your own marketing dollars.
Just by doing the right thing.
Exactly.
So it takes your energy, but the energy that you're using is the right energy.
Correct.
Versus calling someone new that you don't have a relationship with yet, which you still do, but you're investing your energy in letting people know you're still around and you care.
Exactly. That's what, the last thing that you said, that's what it is important. You have to show them that you care.
Do you
That's
think
the part.
that, like, I don't know if you could fake that. Like, is it,
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you
people
can't
will
fake
understand
that.
if you're faking it. So you have to be just like a human being. And they will understand that, when they see the sincerity in your eyes, in your face, in your, speeches, they won't let you go.
I can understand that because even we do a lot of giving, and that can cause a lot of people to be like, well, why? And then sometimes, like, have you ever had people criticize you or doubt you for being that person, for reaching out, for being a giver?
Well, actually, a couple of people said, you are extremely nice. When you're doing business, you're nice to them, and even I teach, let's put it aside for now. When you're too nice, this is what these people told me. People tend to take advantage of you. Well, let them take advantage of me. I mean, you can take advantage of me once or twice, but third time is not going to happen.
So you're not letting other people potentially taking advantage of you change your heart.
Exactly.
Did you make a conscious decision of that, or is just always your nature?
It's my nature.
So the T in Culture Matters stands for trustworthy. Trust in yourself so you can trust others. It's like to remind myself and then everyone in the company, because giving, people have taken advantage.
Exactly.
And it's okay. You just, like you said, I guess the third time, it used to be the 8th time. Was there ever a time where it was the 8th time and then you said, all right, it's 3 now?
No. I mean, I'm patient, but not that patient with people. So.
Okay, fair enough. So let's say part-time to full-time. It's a big question for a lot of people. When did you make the jump from part-time to full-time? And then my second question would be like, what would your advice to be with people? But when did you make the jump first?
In 1999.
Okay.
So I started in real estate in 1994. So it took me about 5 years to get into it full-time. And that year we had just married with my wife. Therefore, it was difficult. You're just married, you're just building a new home and you're building a new family. And at the same time, what you have is a lot of expenses. So you just got married, you have a lot of bills to pay. Then you decide to move on to real estate full time, which you need minimum 6 months to be able to support yourself following 6 months. So I told my wife, I said, there are bad days coming for us. This is what's going to happen, and we're going to struggle. But if I am successful in this road, then it'll be a success in the future. So she said, do whatever you need to do, and I had her 100% support.
So 5 years in the business, you're building a whole life with her, and now it's like, now I'm going to go and just forgo that short-term thinking with the income here and just go all in real estate. You think if you didn't have that support from her, it would have been different?
Well, in my culture, what they say is behind every successful man, there's a successful woman.
Well, hold on. What culture is this? This is a... That's
what we were taught in Turkey.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so Turkey is the region, the origin that you're born of?
Yes.
And in that country, in the culture, the alignment of belief system there is like a family-based?
Correct.
Can you explain that a little bit? Like, how does that work? I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily America. I mean, it's, depending on the conversation.
Well,
I didn't have that.
Family ties are much stronger. I don't want to say just Turkey, but all around us.
Okay.
If you look at, let's say, our neighbors like Israel, their family ties are also very strong. If you go, let's say, to Greece, same thing. Russians, same way. So I guess it's just...
It's a very, in that Eastern European ethos.
Correct.
The trust between family is tight, or the communication.
And we have the culture of European culture as well as Asian culture. That's why they call Turkey as Eurasia.
Ah, okay.
So we have a lot of history from Roman Empire to Byzantine Empire to Ottoman Empire. So there are a lot of culture met.
It's like a melting pot.
Exactly. So we got, things from every single culture.
Wow.
I think that's why it makes it so rich in that area, being able to understand, having dialogue and having tolerance. So I guess that's what our culture taught us when we were growing up.
Wow. So your family came here when you were young?
Actually, my brother was here in 1987. He came here for school.
He was the first here?
He was first.
And then you came over after?
I came in 1989.
How old were you?
I believe 19, yeah.
Okay. And so you already had very established cultural beliefs from your country of, like you just said, behind every great man is a great woman, and treat people with respect. That's what I'm learning when I'm talking to you. How much has that helped your businesses?
Well, culture matters. Therefore,
so we're working.
I just have to copy what I learned and just give it to the people that I start to meet.
In your business.
When you imply all these items into your business, only success comes after that. But it is just like a newborn baby. It takes such a long time for that to be all grown up, and you teach them certain things. Business is the same way. You make mistakes, but you learn not to make those mistakes again. I mean, I do things, well, am I going to be successful? Well, worst case, either I'm going to be or I'm not going to be, right? Yeah. So, but in between those, there will be mistakes made. Now, I know the mistakes that I made in the past. I will not be making the same things in the future. And I am teaching the agents under my umbrella not to make those mistakes first. So, when we're training agents in our businesses, we're training the agents based on what can go wrong, rather than, okay, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to act, and this is how you're going to process the transactions. We teach them the worst case scenario first.
Why do you do that?
This way they don't make the mistakes that I made in the past, so they don't,
to shorten their learning curve?
Exactly. If it took me 20 years to be where I am, for example, it'll take them less on their end. So they're going to be more successful by copying the experience and the teachings of...
Would you say that's the benefit of working with a brokerage? I mean, that's what you're supposed to get then.
Correct.
That learning curve is shortened. Mm-hmm. Because when you started, you just started. But you were full-time for a couple of years, and someone else might not be able to be part-time. Or I'm sorry, you were part-time for a couple of years, Someone else might not be able to be part-time. They might have to go full-time, so they need to learn from you quick on how to become great, potentially.
Well,
You
successful.
could teach them.
Let's put it this way. Being a successful agent, if you are being with the right person and teaching them or learning the right stuff from them, it's not going to take too long for them to be successful in our business. I mean, if I give an example, we had hired an agent about 2 years ago, and he was only doing maybe 5 to 10 transactions a year. Second year, he did 64 transactions.
64.
So
He went from 5 or 10 to 64.
exactly. So if they only look at the things that we're offering and how it's just copying or McDonaldizing the idea into their business. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just copy the success and go on and do what you need to do. But some agents learn, some agents don't.
Your idea is to be there for the agents that do.
Exactly.
So 5 years in the business, you jump into it all in. When did you become a part of HomeSmart? Because you have been a big part of HomeSmart. You guys are opening. This is now I'm in a palace basically. It's like a huge building. There is beautiful, by the way. So this is your third office?
Yes.
Let's go through that process. You start in what year did you join this company and why?
2014.
So 2014.
So what happened was actually we were with a company. First franchise that I bought, it was in 2004.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah, towards the end of 2004. Then I was with that company until they decided to file bankruptcy. So when I heard it, I just break myself away from them and just moved on to another company, which was a Maryland-based company. And I was with them about 2, maybe 3 years. But what happened was I saw that they had something missing in their company. Meanwhile, I was with them. I was searching for a company, and finally I found this HomeSmart.
You did a lot of research.
Oh yeah, it took me about 3 years to finally purchase HomeSmart franchise, and all I saw was them growing year after year, and number of agents and the feedbacks, they were all positive. So when I called them, they said, "Oh, you want to know more about it?" I said, "No, I just want to sign up and get my franchise." They said, "Oh, okay." So I had already done my, research on them. Very successful company. And HomeSmart International is one of the companies that I have never seen such a big support from the previous franchises that I had owned.
Wow.
So that gave me a lot of credibility on their end. And I said, you know what, this is the company that I'm going to grow. But the problem is, I was pretty much the first office in New Jersey. There were no HomeSmart offices.
Wow.
So I couldn't really make the company grow fast because it wouldn't be possible. The agents will not understand the system. They would underestimate it. So I said, you know what, let me just build the business and hire agents slowly and introduce ourselves to the marketplace slowly. So the name first comes, Hakan, HomeSmart, okay, this is a good company. So
you focused on your business.
Exactly.
And your clients, serving them.
Correct. So in 2017, we purchased our Cherry Hill office. So from that point on, now, South Jersey or New Jersey is still a traditional real estate state. So basically, the agents still want a office or a cubicle or whatever. But if you go to West, everybody's working offline online, and they don't really necessarily go to an office space to work and to do their transaction. With HomeSmart, what gives the agent ability to work wherever they are from, because we have a great technology, a great portal where the agents can do their transactions without even coming to the office. I see, right now in Cherry Hill we have about 115 agents, and I see them only when they have a closing and when they drop their check and get paid same day.
So they're able to very user friendly. So the HomeSmart, you did research for 3 years and looked at the HomeSmart model was very user friendly for the agent and focused on the technology to make that happen.
Exactly. Well, it's not just the technology. Since the agents do most of the work
Okay.
during any transaction, HomeSmart believes that they should get paid the most.
Since the agent does most of the work.
Exactly. So where they make the most money out of any and all real estate offices around. There are, similar companies like HomeSmart, but they don't have anything. No technology, no back-end support, no corporate support. I mean, if any of our agents calls the corporate, somebody helps them.
That's part of the culture?
That's part of the culture. So it's not being a HomeSmart agent is not being a HomeSmart agent for that particular office. It's being part of the whole organization.
So it's like centralized. Where is it centralized?
It's in Phoenix, actually. Now it's Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale, Arizona. Mm-hmm. So the central hub is there, and through this technology, agents are able to develop their business through their personality brand of themselves and be able to have that conversation whenever they need it with the hub.
Exactly.
So in 2014, when you invested in the franchise, you focused on you as an example of that agent now that could work with you. It was just you focused on your business because you were the first HomeSmart in New Jersey.
Correct.
And you did a lot of business. You served your clients like we talked about, like with the pies and just going the extra mile. And it worked.
Always works.
And that's what you want to teach agents.
Correct.
So in 2014, you were doing that. And by 2017, Cherry Hill, was that the first office that you opened with HomeSmart?
Voorhees was the first office.
Voorhees, which was in 2014?
2014.
And then 17 was Cherry Hill. Mm-hmm. And then today it's 2019, and we're in Fry's. It's
215 Fry's Mill Road, 215?
In Turnersville. And how many square feet is this? This is huge.
This building is about 12,000 square feet.
12,000 square feet. Now, a lot of companies are taking on less space, it seems, though, to get in a sense. What's the idea behind having more space for the agents?
When you have a lot more space, it has a better impact on the agents and even more impact on the customers. So when somebody walks into the store, it gives more credibility to the agent, not so much to the company, but to the agent. So if I'm a customer, when I get into this building, I would say, wow, this is a great office. Maybe I've never seen one of these before. So we create the culture as soon as they step into the door. So it gives more credibility to the agent, and therefore, it's more business for them.
What do you think about the culture of real estate and how things are changing? So, things are just moving around so quickly. There's a lot of confusion in the business as a whole. Just accelerating change. What's your perspective on things and what's going to work in the next couple of years and what isn't?
Well, of course, technology is going to take its course. We'll see probably a lot of changes on the technology-wise. It might, a lot of people are afraid that real estate may turn into another Amazon real estate or Zillow real estate. So yeah. It may, but those technology companies will not have one thing, which is the culture, and also being personal with the consumer. I mean, still to this date, a lot of people, when they call a phone number, once they hear a computer voice, they hang up. They still want to talk to someone live, and they still want to talk to someone live and do transactions to sit them together. Technology is not going to offer them that. But you'll never know. I mean, I couldn't foresee what's going to happen next 10 years. I wish I knew.
Well, based on the fact that you've helped hundreds of people, well, thousands over your career, but hundreds of people, even just in 2018, move into their homes, and the average realtor is helping less than a dozen in the beginnings of their real estate career. I'm sure there's a lot about people that they could learn from you. I believe that.
Well, you just have to do, first step. at a time. Like before I came here today, I sent emails out to, I believe, over 2,000 agents, just in Burlington County. So just before it's literally around 11:30 today, I sent those 2,000 emails. So before I step in here, I checked that there were over 250 people opened up that email, and of which almost 12 agents clicked on it.
There you go.
So if you give them the right message and if you give them the right trainings, they will make that move. There are a lot of great companies out there. I don't want to name any of them, but they do a lot of trainings. They do a lot of good things. I think that should be the basis of it. But when you are a large company, when you are doing a lot of trainings, but yet you're not really personable with the agents that you're hiring, because that's the complaint that I'm getting from other agents.
Really?
And I signed up to this great company. I saw the broker of record only once at the beginning when they hired them, then I didn't see them again. So that's why I try to keep in touch with every single agent of mine to be more personalized with them, talk to them, and get their, sometimes we talk about totally something different than real estate. That's where these large companies will lose and will gain.
Would you say that how you keep in touch with your clients, going the extra mile, is the same kind of mindset you're taking then with the realtors?
Exactly.
How has that helped? Because going from doing hundreds of home sales to then even owning 3 offices like this, 3 franchises, it's an impressive feat. Not a lot of people have done in their lives. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Well, I'm going to start with an example so you can understand the end. For example, one of our agents got real sick, and I found that he was at the hospital. And went to the hospital, visited him, and talked to him. And, he felt great about it. He wanted to see apparently he hardly had any family members come in. When he saw me, he started to cry. And it was emotional for him to see someone that he knew, but he never expected that someone to be there. So that is what we do pretty much in our business, in our offices. We try to be the same person as for every single agent. So that's how you grow your business, being personable with the people that you're working with.
So you showed up at the hospital.
All right. So it's just a small example. Once we know that person is in trouble with something, we have another one. I don't want to name his name. He was actually not with my company, and he was one of my clients. I sold him a house in Williamboro, and I found out that he was having some trouble with his marriage and whatnot, and I called him up. I said, come and let's talk. This person was an agent with a different real estate company afterwards. So I called him up. He came to the office and started to talk. And I tried to help him as much as possible, emotionally and, psychologically. And at the end, he transferred his license. That wasn't the goal to get him into our company, but the goal was to help him out, show that there's somebody out there who cares. So, and he had a lot of trouble with his, marriage, and finally got divorced. But he went through because there was somebody who was helping him or who was caring. Now, that person, prior to the move that he made from different company to us, he was not doing any real estate, even though in the psychological state that he was in. So pretty much I held his hand. I said, okay, this is what you're going to do. So we started with something smaller, with rentals. You're going to advertise here and there and get out of rental contracts in the first year. Then he got fired from his work. Now there was no additional support. I said, now it is time for you to step up. Call every single tenant that you put into those homes and convert them into buyers. and he started to do that as well. Now, last year, he sold over 90 properties.
Sold 90 properties.
Over 90 properties. He is one of our top producing agents in the office. That's what we do. We take people from the lowest end and bring them all the way to top, make them a top producer. And I rather spend my time in that than spending on something else. Just help create culture, and you're done.
And how that opportunity came was you reach out to someone with the intent to just listen to another person. Exactly. Period.
That's it. And he wasn't even a realtor at that time. He became a realtor afterwards. He started his business at a different real estate company, but still having the same trouble with his life.
It was just hanging there. The license was just really hanging. And now it's not. I mean, 90 transactions in a year is a lot of helping a lot of people. These are, not transactions. I should go back. Not transactions with you. It's relationships. Now he built 90 relationships.
Exactly. So what he did is he just carbon copied what I taught him. Now he is teaching his teammates. Now he's got 4 people in his team, and he's teaching just like the way I taught him. This way, I cannot really spend so much time with every single agent. Of course. We teach the agents and keep them in a team where they learn even more, and they get more attention. So, of course, we do the trainings every once in a while, only on the subjects that really makes difference on the agent's business.
So you consistently train with them on things that will completely add value to them, not just training every day for random reasons, just hearing people talk.
Well, there are companies who does a lot of trainings. We only do trainings on what is important in that business. Like, for example, as I said, we train them on case studies. Okay. Meaning, this realtor got in trouble. We look at all the case studies through the real estate commission, and this agent got fined $30,000 or $10,000, whatever the case is. We studied those case studies with them to show them this agent got in trouble because of this reason. So this tells you not to do this in your business. Once you show them the worst case scenarios that can happen to them in their real estate life, they tend to get them, in distant from those type of scenarios. So once you teach them that, I think they are more successful. Of course, processing is something different.
Yeah. Well, it seems like your whole ethos is take the risk on something after looking at it and saying, all right, this is what could go right, this is what could go wrong. Do it anyway. That's who you are. Learn from all the things that happen that don't work out, so then you can teach someone else that, whether that's your client or whether that's someone that works with you in an organization. I'm curious because it is an interesting conversation you'll have with someone that has been in another country, understood their culture, taken what's valuable from that and brought it into your business like you have, your businesses like you have here. What are some of the core values that you say you live by? Like, for example, if someone were to say, oh, Hakan, this word describes him or this word describes him. What if you had to put a word to it, what are some of the words that you feel like you could describe yourself as?
Well, I would say honesty, being honest, being open. That's all. Once you're honest, that's pretty much what I hear from other agents, other people. They say, he's honest, and I don't think there will be anything other to say about him.
Was there a time where you decided to start being honest? For example, I think that most of my life, prior to certain things occurring, I was a liar through omission. Like I wasn't nearly as honest as I thought I was, like about who I was or about like what I actually did. And then I decided to just be as clear, like you said, open, like transparent and honest as possible. And then things started really coming together because I was together. But I had to really figure that out hard way, I feel like. I think I was. I think that I didn't have a very clear culture growing up like yourself. And I had to be a jerk most of the way. Was it a mentor?
Well, I guess I just followed the family course, pretty much. I'm, just comparing my siblings.
What
to
do they
myself.
do?
Well, my brother is a professor in University of Alaska.
In the University of Alaska.
In Anchorage, yeah.
What does he teach? How to stay warm?
Well, he's the smarty one. He's got
I would say you're both.
PhD in business and PhD in finance. Actually, he's got masters in accounting. So this guy has 3 masters and 2 PhDs. Yet he's still going to school and getting more stuff. So
You're a learner too. Yeah, we've had some pretty philosophical conversations together.
So rest of the family, and some of them are housewives, or some of them are working for a government in Turkey.
Wow.
So other than that, it's just.
When you came here at 19, did you have a place to stay? Did you have $100 in your pocket, $10 in your pocket? Something like where, I read a book recently, I think it was Aristotle Onassis. He was a Greek. Mm-hmm. He came to America with $100 and he became one of the first billionaires. He was like a Navy, owned all these ships. He married Jackie Kennedy. I'm just like, you remind me of Aristotle Onassis after our conversation. Like, how did you end up here at 19?
Actually, our family wasn't even average family per se. We weren't rich, but my father was able to support 7 kids in his business. When we first came here, my brother was actually getting tuitions and help from the Turkish government. They had some sort of test, and he, was successful with that test. So the government sent him to this country to study.
Okay.
So he had government grant in hand. They were paying for his school expenses, and they were also giving him like $700 a month for him to support himself.
Wow.
So me and my brother went through the school with that $700 a month. So we didn't have money.
Everything you and him had to figure it out.
Right.
And so was the first job as a waiter?
I got a job in the University of Mississippi, in the pool hall.
Okay.
So that was my first job in this country.
In the pool hall.
That's probably why I'm pretty good at pool. So.
Oh, well, there should be we got to get a pool table in here for the agents. That's the culture.
We have one in Cherry Hill.
Oh, you do? Okay, that makes sense. So from pool to owning 3 massive franchises and being the first in New Jersey to own a HomeSmart, if you were to go back in time and talk to yourself at 20 years old, and you had like a couple minutes with yourself, let's say you had a minute, of all the things that you've learned that have added value to you, or haven't, what would you what would you say to yourself?
Well, nothing really. I would just look back and say, well, I should have done this, I should have done this way.
Yeah, what would that be?
Well, I think I would jump into HomeSmart train
sooner
in 2004 instead of doing it 10 years after, because HomeSmart was around since 2001. It's a great company, great people. I wish I had known them in those years. Now HomeSmart would have been extremely successful in this state of New Jersey. That is the only thing I just look back and say, I wish I had done this. But other than that,
from day one, you've been with the organization for years now. That's a cultural alignment. It's something that you believe in and you're really, really invested. Obviously, a lot of time, money, and energy with this beautiful building that we're in. It's fantastic. What are some of the goals for 2019? What should people know about HomeSmart? What should people know about Hakan?
Well, I think we are going to expand to 3 different marketplaces in South Jersey. So Burlington Township would be the first one. Medford, it'll probably be at the same time between Burlington Township and Medford. and we are going to expand towards Mulca Hill, a little more south of here, to Mulca Hill area as well. So that will complete my South Jersey area, but then we're going to start with the shore points as to Long Beach Island and Cape May, and
Wow.
so that's pretty much this year and next year. But in following years, I'm hoping to open one North Jersey office first. Then we'll probably expand in that area as well.
Let's say that I'm a realtor and I'm in the business a few months. What is the first piece of advice that you give to me?
Well, if you are in business for 3 months, you would be too late for that advice. So we try to give that advice up front.
Okay.
So when you're new in the business, again, we teach friends and family, contact them. And this is the second step that you have to follow. We talk about, additional business opportunities as to expired listings, for example. I know that, a lot of agents send a lot of letters to these expired listings, but they don't really approach them in person, try to get that listing. Very few, probably. But again, once you show your face to the people, they tend to start to talk to you or just close the door,
So would your advice be to actually learn how to approach them in person and be more personable?
More proactive. Is, if you're not more proactive in your business, it's not going to go anywhere. So you have to just keep pushing at the beginning, because the fruition would be all the way at the end. So the harder that you work in any business, you have to do that harder part first, then you'll see the results at the end. But once you went through that process and that time period within the HomeSmart system, if you saw our motto out there, it says, work smarter, not harder. So you can work smart at the beginning. You may not be very successful, but once you are an established agent or seasoned agent, then that's what HomeSmart does for you.
So would you say that work smarter, not harder, is that focused on agent that's been in the business for a couple of years, they're working like crazy. However, they're missing something. They're seeing something that is not there necessarily in their business that they're not sure even what question to ask. Is that not an ideal, someone that motto is for?
Exactly.
They've been in the business for some time. The world's changing. Everything is changing around them. They're doing well. However, something is missing, and they're not even sure what question to ask. And if you can't ask the question, you can't answer it. They call you.
Right.
From day one, HomeSmart, as it coming into the world, why did the owner of it make it in the first place? What was the unique value proposition of HomeSmart? You spent 3 years researching companies. I mean, you picked this. We can name so many, right? We both know so many people in real estate. Like, why? Why did he start it?
Well, the creator of HomeSmart was a genius. I mean, that's why I call him. He was a genius. He created the software first, thinking that he would take the software and sell it to real estate companies. So basically, he created the back end and transaction systems himself. And I guess, I'm not sure how it happened that he opened the office, but I would guess that somebody probably told him, I said, why don't you just try it first and see if the software is successful in getting a lot of agents.
So this was developed as software that could actually solve a great deal of problems. Instead of selling a light bulb to someone, it's like, well, why don't everyone get light from me?
Right.
Interesting. So, and it's been over 20 years, and I know I think I read this somewhere. It's of the top private.
They are one of the most successful real estate companies in the U.S. If you look at their history, I mean, they are taking real estate companies over from different states. So it's not just taking a couple opening offices. They are also, doing M&As, different states as well. So, all I can see is growth based on, when I met the CEO of HomeSmart, the only thing that I can see is growth.
What do you see from these real estate companies that are getting bought out and they're just going under? Like a lot of name brands that had market dominance don't anymore. Things are happening so quick. Do you think it's technology? Do you think it's culture? What do you think it is?
Technology is the thing. Because it's growing in such a fast pace, a lot of companies are not able to step up with the technology. So let's put it this way: the company who was great 20 years ago, now they are losing a lot of blood to these new companies because they did not really act with the technology. On the other hand, as I said, HomeSmart created a software that no real estate company had in 2000. They created it. And the companies who are just adopting a similar software now...
They've been doing it for a while.
Exactly.
For a while, like
right.
20 years.
So HomeSmart is pretty much 20 years advanced in technology than any other real estate company. When our agents see the technology that we're offering, they say, wow, this is great. This is tremendous. And the software is not a third-party software. It is their own software that they are using.
So in-house software that's not a third party, it's owned by HomeSmart.
Exactly.
And the agents can leverage that.
Correct.
So let's say that I know nothing and I'm learning, I'm a realtor, I want to learn the ins and outs of HomeSmart. If we can bullet some of those besides, anyone that's going to meet you is going to learn how to be a human. That's obvious.
Right.
What are some of the bullet points that you realized when you did your research over 3 years to figure out what company that you were going to invest your time, money in while you picked HomeSmart?
Well, again, technology was the first thing that intrigued me. So the second thing is, when I talked to them first time, I noticed that they were real nice to talk to and helpful. And that really counts. And third one, wherever they opened their first office, it only took off. They grew so fast. So because they had the systems, the third thing is the system. So they have a great system in place. So you don't have to really create your own system within the organization. They already have it. And support and also the culture. You really have to go to Arizona, Scottsdale.
I met Todd. We'll have to set this up.
I'm going there this February. We have a 3-day convention there. So then you can see if there's culture at HomeSmart or not, because they are living it. And that's what we're trying to create.
What does that 3-day look like? What occurs?
There are trainings, there are speakers, there are award dinners. So HomeSmart really goes one step ahead. They don't really depend on the local real estate companies from different franchises or from different franchisees. They do award dinner for national. So, for example, one of my agents made within first 15 agents in the nation as to HomeSmart.
Wow.
So
15 agents in the nation as far as their volume,
exactly.
And they're in HomeSmart.
They do different criteria as to dollar volume. They do transaction volume. They do there are so many parts, but still, it's an honor to have one of my agents being one of number 15 in the entire nation. So
in real estate.
In real estate.
So they're getting an award at this convention.
Correct.
That you have every year.
They do dinner first day with the award dinner, and second day is pretty much trainings, and third day, we have a speech or people who come and speak about real estate and other things. Joe Stump is pretty much one of our guys.
Joe?
Yeah.
I read a couple of his books, by referral only. Has he been working in depth with the organization for some time?
They do that, yes.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, Joe Stump is like an icon when it comes to real estate training for years.
I went to his course many years ago, probably in early 2000s. And the idea, I mean, you don't create the wheel, it's already created by somebody else, you just follow it.
Have you been, did the training impact you a lot?
Oh yeah.
It sounds like it
2000s.
did, because who you are, based on like us getting to know each other over time, and it's our conversation today, that aligns a lot with by referral only, because you actually get a ton of referrals, because you're a good human. Like, you just do the right thing. So I think I read one of his books, a couple of his books at one time, and he had a lot of audio stuff. How important has personal development been for you? You read? Do you listen? How do you get information? You pick things up really quick.
Well, I don't read. I only, read probably from the internet, of course.
So you read, just use that medium.
Right. I don't read books per se, but I teach my kids to read books. But I don't really have much time to do much reading or watching TV or anything like that. The time that I have finally left is probably a couple hours a day for my kids during the week.
So a couple hours with your kids, and the rest of your time is with your clients and your agents?
Clients and agents.
That's all. Where do you get all the energy? Do you drink coffee?
One coffee.
I haven't seen you drink any coffee. I'm drinking
drink,
30
I
cups
drink
a
lot
day.
of tea. Yes.
So has it been something where you were always able to work 14 hours a day, or did you condition yourself to do that over time?
Well, if I don't work, I don't feel right. I get sick. So I rather just work than,
Is it 6 days a week? 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
8 days a week? 171 people that you helped, just you and your admin, not counting all the agents that you helped to impact thousands of people, because you're a leader in the organization. You have 3 offices. There's hundreds of people that rely on you to be this person, including your family. How do you stay humble?
I guess it's just natural. As I said, I took a course on time management many years ago. I still follow that schedule. So I pretty much take care of my clients, let's say, before 12 noon, and anything after that until really important stuff go between 12 and 5. And things that are not really that important, it goes between 5 and 8 p.m. Therefore, I try to get everything done during those times, and sometimes I finish it earlier than I have.
So simple, though.
Right.
Those 3, what was the first again? It was 8 to...
From pretty much 8 to 12 that I have to do things on my transactions.
Okay.
But,
you clean your room.
It never happens usually as scheduled, because somebody comes and you have 3 minutes, then, your schedule gets a little messed up. But by working certain ways, I can do multitasking. So, I can use my energy into 2 things at the same time. In the afternoon, I pretty much take care of the company business with the agents and their problems, their transactions. And from 5 to 8, things that aren't really not important during the day, that I leave it after hours.
And you've been time blocking like that for how long?
How long as to how many years?
Yeah, how many years have you followed that
Since
type
2004.
And that you took a course in 2004?
I believe it was the early 2000s that I took the course.
So once you learn something, you don't really forget it. It seems like.
Well, people forget.
Yeah.
But, I forget it too. But I remember probably 99% of the time.
Yeah, interesting. PhD in memory. So 2019 is coming. You've got this new building. It was powerful when I walked in. I got to say, with culture, that conversation, right? We're looking at what I call the culture puzzle: the story, the language, the symbolism, the medium, and the who. You're the who. Your character emanates in every conversation you have based on your language, the stories you tell, the examples, the analogies you use, and the medium at which you do it. You're a personal guy. You go and bring pies to people literally at their front door. You invest time in doing things like this to put yourself out there. When I walked in here and I saw the colors and the layout and the architecture, it really was a wow, because that creates that symbolism to me as this is what HomeSmart stands for. I got to say, it's really powerful. When I came through here and today, and we had this awesome conversation to get to know you more. I want to thank If I was going to meet with you, Hakan, and we had this conversation like we are today, 6 years ago, would it be the exact same conversation, or do you believe that anything would have been different? Meaning, what have you learned in the last 6 years that you believe has impacted you personally in a way that when I did walk in here today, I was extremely blown away by how everything just came together?
I think it would be the same. I don't think there will be any difference from 6 years ago to now, per se. But, you know, the experiences changes. So, you know, the knowledge that you get, because you live and you learn. So 6 years probably gave me more knowledge on how to treat agents better or how to talk to them better, because 6 years ago I didn't have 115 agents in one single office. So I see it as a school per se. You know, it's like babysitting per se. I don't want it to be taken in the wrong way, but because every single person that you meet with have a different kind of problem. So you get to learn how to go over those problems. So the knowledge is based on the experience of others. That's all.
Investing many, many hours in listening to over 100 people, or now hundreds, consistently.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting because it brings me back to like why I started doing these interviews. People ask all the time, like, why are you doing that? Business aside, because I believe the business is someone's vision to a solution of a problem first. The profit is the margin in between what it costs to solve the problem and what comes in. So business aside, it was just to become a better listener. And I can say that personally, I can empathize with what you're saying, is that it's been over 100, well over 100 interviews where my intent, right, was to listen to understand, was to listen between the conversation, to really learn someone, learn who they are. And it's totally changed my life. Would you say that you're a better man now after being a leader to more people?
I believe so. You know, even right now we're having this interview. I think it just triggers more things that I could do in the future by the questions that you're asking me. I think this type of interviews or trainings, or you know, I feel like I'm being trained right now because it creates more thoughts in my brain what I'm gonna do next, you know, few months based on our conversations here. Things that
we all win.
Exactly. Exactly. So I really appreciate the opportunity having me here, or coming here and giving us this great interview.
Yeah, well, I could talk to you all day. You know this. First time we met, we sat in your office, and we were just talking about culture. We were talking about Turkey. We were talking about business. We were talking about life. And for what, 45 minutes, it was like while an event was going on. And I think we met because of Facebook originally.
Exactly.
Facebook culture matters.
See, I'm not like you. You know, you can't talk 6 hours straight, and it's not me. So after a while, my wheels start to burn. So.
Well, this was a pleasure, and this is the first, I'm sure, of many, many, many. And I got to say, you know, Hakan, you are one of the most brilliant men that I've ever talked to.
Thank you.
And remember, the gene pool is wide. So I think that some of those you might have a PhD in real estate culture, real estate customer service, bringing pies to people, to clients, because I got, you know, I learned from a lot of people, and I don't think I've ever had anyone tell me that they brought someone a pie. So this was awesome today, and your building's beautiful, and the first of many.